A drubbing for the lacrosse team against Yale, but we have a historic 14-match winning streak from the men's tennis side.
Spring is underway, and so is the spring soccer season with a game against Drexel.
And with Aaron McKee walking out the door, the men's basketball team has 6 rotation players following close behind. OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to a new edition of OwlSports Update. I'm AJ Patel, he's Jesse DeMitch-LeVay, and we'll be breaking down the EAGL championships from New Hampshire and take a look at the latest recruits coming into the football program.
But first, those students at Yale are not only smart, but they're also pretty good at lacrosse.
North to New Haven, Connecticut we go. Owls versus 16th ranked Yale. The Bulldogs off to an early 2-zip lead until Owls midfielder Bellmaster Pietro finds a streaking Maeve Tobin for Temple's only goal in the first quarter. The Connecticut native grew up less than an hour away from the stadium. Olivia Penoyer, 7 minutes later, lets it rip from the circle. She scores a hat trick. Clock running out, sophomore Taylor Lane gains possession and sends a behind-the-back rocket. 3 cherry jerseys around her, and she still manages to catch the top left part of the net. The Owls, now with 4 minutes left in the first half, finds themselves down by 8. They could only manage 8 shots on goals in those 2 quarters. The rest of the game stays the same. Temple loses 16-5.
After this loss, the lacrosse team is currently seeded 4th out of 7 in the AAC, but these are all non-conference games, at least for Temple. The team's first conference game this Saturday is against the 5th-ranked team in the nation in James Madison. So far this season, Temple is 0-2 versus teams in the top 25.
JMU is likely the most challenging opponent Temple will play all year. OwlSports Update's Patty Heckard has more on the Owls matchup against one of the newest teams in the conference. Hey, Patty.
Thanks, AJ. This weekend, Temple lacrosse begins conference play against JMU. The Owls have been a bit inconsistent so far this year at 5-4 in their 9 non-conference games. The lacrosse team had a similar start last season, going 6-3 in its first 9 games. The team finished the year strong with a 4-1 record in conference. If Temple repeats that same second-half performance this year, they can rely on seniors Bellmaster Pietro and Mackenzie Roth to get them there. Mastro Pietro is the reigning AAC Midfielder of the Year and is currently leading the team with 23 goals. Mackenzie Roth is first on the team and 4th in the conference in assists with 12. The two play a major part in the team's offense and will play a major part in the team's success to the second half of the season. Saturday's game is at home starting at 12. The Dukes are 9-1 on the year, their only loss coming in the season opener to the nation's top team in North Carolina. For Temple, the Owls are 0-2 versus nationally ranked teams this season. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Patty Heckard. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Patty. The football team is moving into the second half of its spring season. And one thing changed over the weekend. The team put on full pads and really started hitting each other for the first time. The physicality is what Stan Drayton is looking for as he is trying to find those difference makers leading into his second season.
Got our pads on, had our first full day of pads on Saturday. Not a scrimmage situation, but a real physical engagement out there by our football players. Again, I love the way they are approaching the day. It's been definitely really good steps in the right direction. All those guys, in my opinion, are getting better daily. But still, we hadn't tackled them yet in a live setting, in a game setting yet, and that's to come sometime this week, and we'll get a better feel when that starts to happen.
There's always room for improvement. We definitely, as a whole secondary, as defenses, creating more takeaways, interceptions, fumbles, sacks. Like we have to improve in all those spots.
Coach, the coach has been able to help me, grow as a player. So, now that we're out here in the spring, we just been really putting everything together, honestly, and the defense is really flowing, the scheme is flowing great. I just feel great to be out here.
There is hope, of course, that the program will continue to move in the right direction when Coach Drayton's second recruiting class hits the turf this upcoming fall. OwlSports Update's Max Green has the story.
It's been a little more than 1 year since Stan Drayton took over Temple football, and he's starting to get the players he says he needs to make the Owls a contender once again.
Yeah, I'm excited about our newcomers.
Coach Drayton's new recruiting class is ranked 10th among the schools outside the Power 5, and these transfers have already started meshing with the veterans during spring practices.
I believe that there, like a lot of guys, see the talent around them, and it's just, fostering more belief in each other because they see that we have all the tools.
As spring football approached, it was time for the next step of Stan Drayton's rebuilding of the Temple football program. And that was to get on the phone and convince these top-notch recruits to come on over to North Broad.
They're doing a phenomenal job of, operating within the culture. They're learning, they're hungry. They're allowing the older players to coach them.
It's not just the brand new guys coming in. Some of the transfers know the college game, such as former Florida safety Kamar Wilcoxon, who has played 2 years in college.
I feel like the biggest thing that got me here at Temple just was the defensive pedigree that we have here. Like, we produce a lot of defensive talent. And
Temple football will get to show fans their new recruiting class at the Cherry and White game on April 8th. Reporting from Edberg Olson Hall, I'm Max Green, OwlSports Update.
It's not all about the guys getting ready for next season. On Wednesday, it was about the guys who got the job done last season. Temple football just held its annual Pro Day. NFL scouts were in attendance to evaluate players 1 month before the draft. OwlSports Update's Jake Gable was there.
Only 1.6% of college football players play in the NFL. 8 players from Temple are playing the numbers game to chase their dreams at Temple's Pro Day. Those 8 players are offensive linemen Adam Klein and Isaac Moore, wide receivers is Donicus Sanders and Jose Barbone, defensive lineman Zach Gill, cornerback Cameron Ruiz, safety Jalen Ware, and punter Mackenzie Morgan.
I was grateful to perform in front of scouts. It's a kid's lifelong dream.
13 NFL teams sent scouts to watch and evaluate the players. Among the drills the players competed in was broad jump, the 40-yard dash, the 3-cone drill, and position-specific drills. Players were put to the test to try to show off their athleticism on a high-stakes stage.
I was trying to, do good on my 40 just to, get some attention.
While the majority of the players are banking on getting picked up by an NFL team for their only shot at playing football professionally, that is not the case for the Swedish native Isaac Moore. Moore was drafted in the 3rd round of the USFL draft by the Philadelphia Stars with the 21st overall pick, but he's still chasing his NFL dreams, trying to hear his name called on draft night in April.
My student visa goes up very soon. I graduate my master's in May. So I was hoping I could stay in this country, working with this thing I love, football. And now that I can, it's just like a relief,
The NFL draft is about a month away on April 27th. The players will be using that time to continue to train, talk with NFL teams, and hope they get their name called on draft night. Reporting from the Star Complex, I'm Jake Gable, OwlSports Update.
It's time for a break. Don't go anywhere. On the other side, we take a look at the hottest team on campus. The men's tennis team riding a brilliant 14-match win streak, including wins against Xavier and Ryder. Stick around.
Welcome back. Coaching changes are becoming the new norm for Arthur Johnson. Since getting hired as the AD, he has parted ways with 5 coaches. And that doesn't include fencing Hall of Famer Nikki Frank, who retired after a 50-year career. Aaron McKee is switching roles as Temple's special advisor to athletics, while the remaining 4 coaches, well, they're no longer at Temple.
As for the newer hire, Stan Drayton is entering just his 2nd full season this year after starting his tenure at the end of 2021. The volleyball team hired former NC State coach Linda Hampton-Keith a mere 2 weeks later, while Diane Richardson is coming up on a year with the women's basketball and fencing found former Brandeis coach Jenny Solomon in August of 2022. Finally, 20-year veteran coach Brian Green received the helm for the men's soccer program in December. And one position has yet to be filled, men's basketball. The two biggest changes surround the football team in 2021 and now with basketball in 2023. We have our very own Courts in Session anchor Luke Milai to talk about the mass exodus for men's hoops coming on the heels of the McKee announcement.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Luke. Now, Temple basketball, they've lost not only all 5 starters, but impact players off the bench. Who's the biggest blow to the team?
Damian Dunn is the biggest loss for this team. Yes, Caleb Battle led the Owls in scoring last season, but Dunn's been a major focal point of this offense for the better part of the last 3 years. He's been one of the only guys that can create his own shot, can get to the free throw line, and can stretch the floor from 3. Over the last 3 years, he's averaged around 15 points per game. Dunn is certainly the biggest loss for Temple this season.
Whoever the new coach may be, how do you fill in those roles of, say, a Caleb Battle, a Damian Dunn, even a Jameel Reynolds?
Well, Jesse, there's a lot of roles and holes to fill on this roster. Let's say all 6 players that enter the transfer portal for Temple end up leaving. The Owls lose nearly 90% of their scoring, around 65% of their rebounding, and over 80% of their assists. There's so much to fill on this team. Now let's look at how they can fix it. There's 2 ways that I can see the new coach going about this. First, they can go the Diane Richardson route, as we saw with the Temple women's basketball team. Richardson came from Towson, and she brought over some players, including star Leah Nelson. Now, the other option is to go to the transfer portal, and that's where Temple's falling a bit behind. Coaches are in the transfer portal right now, bringing in players that fit their system. Temple's without a coach, therefore, they're out of the transfer portal. But those are the 2 ways that the coach can get those holes filled.
Yeah, now, Luke, what about the incoming recruiting class who thought their head coach was going to be Aaron McKee? Do you see them honoring their commitment, or do you see them flipping schools down the road?
Well, that's the tricky part, AJ. It's up to the individual recruit. Obviously, let's look at Zion Stanford, a West Catholic Prep high school kid, a Philly kid. He signed his national letter of intent back in November. He made the commitment to Aaron McKee and Temple. But look, Temple also made the commitment back to him. Let's say Stanford says, you know, I committed to Coach McKee. Even though he's not here, I still want to attend Temple. Temple is likely to honor that commitment and allow him to still take that scholarship spot. Now, let's say he goes the other way. Let's say he says, you know, Aaron McKee's gone. I want to reopen my recruitment. I think Temple will also have to respect that and say, you go do you. We'll save that scholarship spot for the new head coach to pick someone else. So it's really all up to the individual recruit.
Now, Luke, what do you see as the biggest surprise from the last week or so?
The biggest surprise to me is that there is no head coach yet. It's been 10 days since Aaron McKee walked out that door, and Temple men's basketball has been without a head coach. You look across the college basketball landscape, coaches are being hired every day, some multiple per day. There are coaches going and getting these jobs. The only caveat in my head is that maybe the coach Temple's going after is still a part of a program that's still competing, but still, regardless, this is a big surprise to me that Temple hasn't filled this spot.
Yeah, Luke, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Coaching at the D1 level is hard. Playing isn't much easier. Temple has one athlete doing something no one else on campus is able to do. OwlSports Update's China Dunneman has the story.
At Temple, there are about 500 Division I student athletes, but only one plays 2 sports. Sophomore Jalia Evans does just that. Volleyball in the fall, track and field in the spring.
Energy and enthusiasm is contagious.
Volleyball is Evans' first love. In high school, she quit the track team to focus on volleyball. However, at Temple, she found her way back.
I love track, so I just knew I wanted to get back into it.
But it wasn't easy getting there. Evans had a trial period her freshman year to see if it was possible to play both sports while still following NCAA rules. She passed. Evans' week consists of volleyball practice Monday through Saturday, track practice twice a week, and squeezing in her classes.
She's got responsibilities in volleyball, she's got responsibilities with us, so she's done a good job of juggling that.
Evans showed that navigating both sports is possible, while being able to keep her grades strong as a finance major.
Very good at time management.
While Evans does juggle 2 sports and her academic work, she does make sure she makes time for fun.
She currently has almost 13,000 followers on TikTok, using her surroundings to her advantage.
2, 3. It comes to me pretty naturally, like when I'm gonna post, and like some of my teammates send me inspiration.
With volleyball and TikTok taking up her free time, she's still focused on the outdoor track and field season. Reporting from McGonigal Hall, I'm China Dunman, OwlSports Update.
The Owls at the TU Pavilion for the first time all season taking on the Rider Bronx. Last match of the day, Tebow Frumhalls with some aggressive play getting to the net, and Riders Jake Grimes unable to come up with the goods. Grimes, however, returning the favor, closing it off at net. However, too much firepower from Frumhalls, winning this one 6-1, 6-4 as the Owls rout Riders 7-0, making that 14 straight wins for the men's tennis program.
Maron Delmas now holds the 4th spot for most career wins in the program history with 76. The Owls have been red hot, now losing a match in just under 2 months. OwlSports Update's Jackson Batchelor is at our studio set to tell us more. Hey, Jackson.
Thanks, AJ. Following Temple's 7-0 win against Xavier on Saturday, the men came into their Wednesday match against Rider having not lost at home. They are 10-0 when they host their opponents. Wednesday morning, Temple continued its dominance with a 7-0 victory. It was a terrific day for senior Maron Delmas. Delmas had a win in both doubles, winning 6-0 with Gregoire Barity, and singles, winning both matches 6-1. He now has 76 total wins, which is 4th in program history. The men's team is now 14-2 on the season. The Owls only have 6 remaining opponents. Temple's next opponent is the Hampton Pirates, who the Owls will face on the road on Saturday as they seek their 15th consecutive win. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Jackson Batchelor. Guys, back to you on desk.
The 14-match win streak for the Owls shatters the previous win streak of 9, which was set back in 2019. With 5 opponents left, the team looks to surpass the best win-loss record in program history of 20-6 from its 2015 campaign.
While men's tennis is in the home stretch of its season, the men's soccer spring season just started. When OwlSports Updates returns, we have a new era underway. 2 freshmen see time in goalie, and Brian Green makes his unofficial coaching debut. It's only appropriate Temple faces off against Philly 5 rival Drexel. You won't want to miss it. Temple welcomes Philly foe Drexel to kick off its spring ball season. Antonio Illuminato gets the pass from his teammate to set up a one-on-one with goalie Michael Ramirez and sends it over his head. Temple on the other side, trying to get something going, turns the ball over. Cesar Banacloy passes to the spinning 5th-year Harrison Carone. He gets the goal off his left foot. Carone again coming back, hand feeds the balls to the Owls in black, but wait! Ben Weller gets the ball out of the air and just gets it past the diving Zayn Hamid. 2 freshman goalies see minutes in this game. Doesn't really count, but Drexel tops Temple 4-0.
With the spring's unofficial season here, the soccer team continues to add new faces to its coaching staff. The Owls recently hired goalkeeper coach Ryan Sendell from the University of Pennsylvania. OwlSports Update's John Ferrara explains why he is here.
If you don't give up a goal, you can't really lose. And that's one of the jobs for one of Temple's newest assistant coaches. Ryan Sandell spent last year as the goalkeepers coach at Penn. His squad allowed the 14th fewest goals per game in the country.
I'd like to take what I learned at Penn the last couple of years, working with some very good goalkeepers, and apply that here because we have good goalkeepers here.
Sandell's job is to improve up Temple's 4-9-3 record. The Owls gave up an average of just over 2 goals per game, which ranked last in the AAC. And Sandell has a winning track record. His Quakers made last year's NCAA tournament.
I've seen that just in the few sessions that we've had being back. The work rate is there, the belief is there, and those are good places to start.
Coach Sandell might be switching schools, but he gets to stay here in Philadelphia at Temple. He's only been here for a few days, but his impact on the goalkeepers is already showing.
He's only been here a couple days, but it's almost felt like he's been here for a while.
Sandell is a part of an entirely new coaching staff. This spring season is a perfect opportunity to grow as a team before the matches count in the fall.
Change the sides as well, so.
And overall, just kind of focusing on a big spring, just one game at a time, one practice at a time.
Coach Sandell says that believing in yourself during the entire 90 minutes of a match is the most important tournament quality and is something he wants to bring to Temple. Reporting from the Temple Sports Complex, I'm John Ferrara, OwlSports Update.
Soccer is welcoming some new faces, but there are also some familiar faces and names to showcase in Jess and Jay's top plays.
Starting things off at number 3 from the hottest team on campus. Gregoire Barretti here again. Xavier looping a forehand here to buy him some time, rifling a backhand cross court, and then nailing here the thunderous strike off the forehand wing. What a shot from the lefty there. Hot all afternoon long.
For number 2, we got Mastro Pietro to Tobin yet again for a second consecutive time. Mastro Pietro threads the needle and finds Tobin inside in triple coverage. Let's run this back. Her momentum is going away from the net. Her vision is impeded from the defender right in front of her, and the outlet pass is cut off.
All right, at number 1, another Frenchman, Thibaut Fromholz, with a powerful serve to set things up on his forehand wing. Then he crushes for the passing shot forehand here, giving the Owls its 14th straight win. 3 good ones for this week's Jess and Jay's top plays. We have come up against our final break of the day, but on the other side, we recap the EAGL Championships. OwlSports Update will be back in 90 seconds.
Welcome back. The gymnastics team is graduating only 2 of its athletes, but their absence will be felt. The departing leaders were part of Temple's first ever ECAC conference title. OwlSports Update's JC Bullock has the story.
Building a champion is not easy, and it does not come overnight. Just ask Madison Brooks and Juliana Rowland.
We just come in every day with full intention and give our hardest 100% every single day.
Maybe I have a screw loose in my head, but I think we can win.
Brooks and Rowland are the 2 most senior members on the gymnastics team. Both are graduating in May with a long resume of success. Brooks is a senior and has been a part of 2 different conference titles. Rowland, as a graduate student, set a school record on the vault earlier this year.
That was probably one of the best, most joyful moments of my whole gymnastics career.
While players consider her the grandmother of the team, her 5 years of collegiate experience have helped to guide and inspire her younger teammates to stay competitive and remain level-headed.
So I think I'm kind of like mother hen, but I think I try to provide as much support as I can and be someone that the girls can come and talk to. You'll definitely know when I'm in the room, I'm always yelling and just being goofy.
Both have become big-time leaders.
Gymnastics is a team sport made up of individual events, so the athletes are often on their own when competing, but they can always count on their teammates to push and cheer them on.
We're just always having fun and loud and cheering for each other no matter what. And when we're all supportive of each other and we work off each other's energy, we do our best.
For Rowland and Brooks, their time in a leotard is over after not placing at regionals. Reporting from McGonigal Hall, I'm JC Bullock, OwlSports Update.
We got through a lot today, but it feels shorter and shorter every week.
For AJ Patel, I'm Jesse Dimitri-Louvet. That wraps up this week's edition of OwlSports Update. Have a safe weekend and enjoy the action.